It's now time for Me and My Roku with your host, Peter Clay.
Roku in trouble? Probably not.
Incidentally, this is Peter.
So we have a voicemail now from Peter.
Pete, you are not.
Not everybody sounds like Peter Clay.
More CEOs named Peter.
Peter Clay is here today.
Holy crap, it's Peter.
Pete, are you able to say something nice?
Well, I'm going to try, but no promises. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another thrilling, turbocharged edition of Me and My Roku. I'm your host, Peter Clay. Welcome aboard on this crazy streaming stuff we like to call Roku and other services out there and all the things like it. I'm actually technically agnostic to all these things. I just prefer the Roku, but I have all of them. I'm a little crazy when it comes to it, but I like to take things that I find and all that stuff and then share them with you, and then let you decide how you want to do with it. Here's kind of the rules of the game here a little bit, and I want to stress this a little bit because the streaming services here and all the hardware and everything like that, it's a crazy world out there, and things happen fast, or just when you think something's one thing, another thing happens right away. So, little background here, little inside action here on what's going on here. I actually recorded a podcast, and I did it on my normal day. Usually I come out, record on Wednesdays, try and come up on Wednesdays, and sometimes on the weekends if something special goes on and all that stuff. So with the holidays coming up and all that stuff, I was trying to rush one in and all that stuff and just get it recorded and maybe have it come out over the weekend type of thing. And so I got it all done and ready to go, and all I had to do was mix it and put it together and all that stuff. And then some breaking news happened and kind of put everything that I was talking about kind of. So you're going to hear, and another inside baseball thing here, what I do is I record these in segments here, and then I mix them up, and then I put those funny little intros. Sometimes I make music, sometimes I just find sound effects and stuff like that and mix them in and all that stuff in between. So things may seem a little jumbled today and all that stuff. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time and all that stuff. I had something all worked out. Just some things were going on and all that stuff, and go, why is this happening and all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then the world of Roku changed forever. And so once again, I want to emphasize, this is a me show. This is about what I do and all that stuff. I don't try to be sanctimonious about it, but I just find it easier for me to let you know what I discovered and all that stuff, and then share with you and then let you decide. I understand that if you're listening to this, you understand the intricacies of a podcast and all that stuff, and you're probably wherewithal there with technology and all that stuff. And if you have a Roku and all that stuff. So it's a small following that I have, and I appreciate it and all that stuff. But as I try and branch out, I try to inform things and all that stuff. And how we get information, and if you're trying to learn things about that, you go certain places and all that stuff. I'm just going to say this not as a warning and type of thing like that, but sometimes I've just noticed a bunch of clickbaity stuff out there, and where you get your information and all that stuff, and just be wary and all that stuff. So that's what I try to tell you here, is that I try to remain as independent as possible. I'm not saying you can't do this commercially and all that stuff, and you can't find information out there. I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff out there that sometimes you go to, let's just say a streaming advisor and stuff like that, and you go to their website and all that stuff, and you have to sift through all the ads before you can get to any content all that might help you with your streaming device. Okay, and there's other things out there like Cord Cutters News and the Streamable and all that stuff. And why, yes, they have ads, they tend to tell you right off the bat, and I think there's also fairly benign and all that stuff with the content. They're not letting the ad determine the content type of thing. There's people out there who will try and tell you, make a blog to make money and all that stuff, and follow these steps and all that stuff, and then, add links to these things and all that stuff. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying sometimes you're doing it for the ad. The ad is determining the content. Here at Me and My Roku, we try and let the content do these things. So it's what I discover and all that stuff, and I share with you. Once again, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to tell you I'm better than you. I mean, I'm just kidding. The old line goes, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to impress upon you that I tried to be independent as possible. I'm not endorsed or sponsored by Roku at all and all that stuff. So I would just say, in good conscience, I just like to let you know ahead of all those things that some of these things to look out for the clickbaity things. So that's what I kind of got caught into on a couple of the segments that I pre-recorded and all that stuff. That's a stupid thing. It's that I recorded earlier. And there we go. So the big news is HBO Max is now on Roku. Hooray! The world, peace on earth, and all that good stuff. And we're going to have a good Christmas. I think I had that. I was going to say this was all going to be done by Christmas. And there we are. So some of the segments you may hear on the show was before I recorded it, before that big news came out and all that stuff. So just remember that ahead of time. But I still think the conversation and the subject was still important and all that stuff. So I'm going to include that in the program today. So with that big, long-out discussion there, let's get started.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tread lightly on this next topic here because I'm going to try and be calm and polite and try and be as fair and honest as I can be and all that stuff, because I want you to know this is a me show. It's about me and all that stuff. But I don't throw my views and anything along those lines. And again, I'm not influenced by Roku or anything along those lines. I just find it interesting when I see certain stories. I just seek out more information and all that stuff, and I go, I think you're just trying to be a little clicky. You're just trying to invent a story type of thing. So a couple stories are out there, and a couple things are going on that are legitimate. One, apparently Amazon has taken over the streaming platform wars and has more subscribers and active users than Roku. Okay. Again, if this is a me show, how does that affect me? It doesn't. So, hooray! And those numbers go back and forth all the time, too. Like Spotify and Apple Music, they keep going back and forth, and paid subscribers versus ad-supported and all that stuff, and la-da-da-da-da-da-da. Numbers are numbers, and, there are certain people out there who love their spreadsheets. I don't want to do them wrong or anything like that. But does it affect me? No. Okay, so we're good. So, however, the assumption then is Roku in trouble somehow or anything like that? Another couple of stories. Okay, one, we still don't have HBO Max yet on our Roku. Okay. And two now, Spectrum, the brand of Charter. Well, they couldn't come to an agreement any longer. And now some people are saying, well, I'm losing my Spectrum app and all that stuff. Well, okay, let's get to the bottom of some of these things. Okay. The Spectrum app has been taken out of the Roku channel store. Okay, you cannot get any new downloads of the Spectrum app. If you have the Spectrum app and you're subscribed and all that stuff, you still get it as of this recording. You still can use your Spectrum login for any TVware Anywhere apps that are available to you to log into, as far as what I like to call the authentication apps and all that stuff, which you would get way more of than the 10 apps, the 10 channels they give you on the Spectrum app. So let that be something. Look, Spectrum is the backbone of everything I do here and all that stuff. I tried their app and all that stuff. It's a fine thing. It's if you still want to hold on to that thing. But the fact that if we're going to get into an argument of whether Roku's in trouble or not over the Spectrum app being taken off Roku, Spectrum, let's see, Charter, the one thing that we're trying to break away from. This is cord cutting, remember. And we're going to lose our shirts, our pants over whether or not we have the Spectrum app. Anyway. So, yes, it's another thing. So, the other argument on these things is nobody has 100% of anything. Amazon still doesn't have Peacock. So, it is kind of funny and interesting that the Spectrum app goes off of Roku, but now magically is going to show up on Amazon. Well, what does that mean? It can mean a couple of things. It can mean, one, Amazon is saying, hey, You're having a trouble with Roku? Come on over here. We'll give you a good deal. Who knows for how long, but a deal's a deal type of thing. And maybe, Spectrum, in a moment of desperation, all that stuff, took a deal with anybody, Amazon, since they can't be on Roku, they'll take the deal because they're hanging on for dear life here type of thing. So I don't know. Facts are facts. These are the things and all that stuff. But just to jump into the fact that this is somehow Roku's problem for both either HBO Max or Spectrum, to me, is kind of laughable. I mean, it takes two to tango and all that, and there's other factors of all these things going on. Just to think that the pressure is on Roku to keep all these things, that Roku should have 100% of everything and all that stuff. We would love that, but we also should know that I got enough things on my Roku to rot my brain as it is. So, I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny that we're trying to promote our websites and our blogs and all that stuff. So to put a thing in there to say Amazon is the number one streaming platform, okay, little clicky little thing right there. And especially when you put no attribution to the stats and the numbers or anything along those lines either. So, AT&T and HBO Max, they're holding on to their brands for dear life. They feel that, we're the ones that people should be coming to us. We shouldn't have to come to them type of thing. And Roku's just saying, hey, here's the deal. You want it or not? Another thing I found funny is Warner Media announced at some forum and all that stuff that they had 12 million subscribers for HBO Max, up from 8 since last quarter. And it's like, oh, huzzah, huzzah, golf clap, hoo. And then Peacock comes out with 26 million, and this company comes out with 36 million, and then there's Disney, who comes out with 86 million, and then there's Netflix with 200 million. I'm sorry, what was that again? 200 million. Way out there. So, yeah. We got a long ways to go. So, yes, HBO Max, fine service. When it comes on to Roku, we'll get it and all that stuff. If not, life is going to go on, folks. It's I don't think... Now, is it true? Is it possible that Roku is in trouble and that the pressure is on Roku due to all these things? It's possible. Anything's possible. You just don't know, but probably not. Just remember, the whole point of this podcast for me was when I started it 11 years ago, originally, was I didn't think it was going to be here this long. I thought this was long for the Internet Archive long ago, and now I'm going almost 2 years straight on this rendition of the podcast, and 11 years later, we're still going. And maybe want to do the podcast again to begin with, because, one, it's still here. Will it still be here 11 years from now? Well, that's another story, but will any of us? That's a question for another day. So, your Roku should be fine for now, here on Me and My Roku.
La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
Okay. Come to think of it, is Netflix in trouble? I mean, everyone's like on Roku's case for whether or not they can get HBO Max or keep the Spectrum app. But what about Netflix? Everyone seems to be gunning for them and all that stuff, and they've kind of plateaued as far as their subscribers go, and the only thing they can really do is internationally. Yeah, well, food for thought there. I had a very brief but cordial Twitter exchange with Tom Merritt, the host of the Daily Tech News Show podcast, and a competing show, Cord Killers. Actually, not that much of a competition, really. This show's way better. But we had a brief exchange about the pressure being on Roku. He maintains that the Time Warner releasing day and date on theaters and HBO Max, that's putting a little extra pressure on Roku, and I still maintain the pressure is not on Roku. It's AT&T and now Charter and all that stuff. They're gunning for Netflix, or they just want to be relevant. They want to be in this game type of thing, and they're also wanting to hold on to their brand, and they just can't break down and all that stuff. Well, one company that just doesn't care about that at all. Throughout this whole endeavor, and the whole 11 years that I've dealt with Roku, and streaming services and all that stuff. The one company that has been there through in and out and all that stuff, no, none of this, we're taking our stuff off, we're not doing this, and the one you would think would, because they care so much about their brand and all that stuff, has been Disney. Disney has been up forth and all that stuff and been the leader and all these things from the beginning. Their stuff has been available from day one, whether it's their Disney Channel on the Roku, on ESPN. They did the ESPN3 first before it became ESPN Plus and all this. They did all these. They do what Disney does. They get you in, and then, oh, now we're going to make you pay for Disney Plus, and now we're going to make you do this and all that stuff. Well, they made their announcement last week. And then for this, I'm going to, since I had such a nice exchange with Tom Merritt on this, I'm going to refer you to his Cord Killers. What date was that? Let's say today's so Monday. We'll say December 13th or 14th episode of Cord Killers. Tom does a whole 10 minutes on the whole Disney announcement and all that stuff. I'm just going to give you the cliff notes here just to kind of spark your brain, spark your interest in all that stuff. But if you want the whole rundown of everything Disney announced last week, I refer you to Cord Killers, even the Daily Tech News Show, for all the, because he had the extensive list on that. But as far as anything goes here, some of the highlights on that, ESPN Plus content will, starting next year, will start being available through Hulu. So then there's also especially when if you have the Disney bundle, the Disney Plus bundle with Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, that could be kind of useful there, because otherwise you have to go to the ESPN app and all that stuff. So it's kind of nice that it has a home somewhere else. ESPN Plus will also be, ESPN will be the exclusive home of the SEC, the Southeastern Conference, beginning in 2024, with an exclusive game on ESPN Plus as well in that. The Hulu bundle is going to go, it's going to be now available with ad-free Hulu, and at a price of $18.99. The regular price bundle is going up $1 to $13.99, $14.99, something along those lines. And then, again, Disney Plus lets you in. It's going to go from $6.99 to $7.99, beginning in March. So that's a year and a half since their launch, and they're already raising the price $1. Obviously, $1, no one's really going to, when we saw what Netflix raised their price on and all that stuff. But, you know, makes it wonder a little bit, what's it going to be next year then? Is this going to be a yearly thing? So what's the price before you start going, So right now, $6.99, obviously. $7.99, yeah, we're still good, and all that stuff. $9.99, probably. Anything more than that, we'll talk then. We'll see. But since I get gift cards for all these things, I'm in good shape here. Other things they announced was there will be some movies that they will release day and date. And those things that they release day and date will be in the theaters and then on the Disney Plus premiere, like they did with Mulan. Some other things they just announced strictly for Disney Plus. Plus, tons. Again, this is why I refer you to Cord Killers. Tons of Marvel. Tons of Star Wars, tons of Pixar, tons of other Disney streaming things and all that stuff. So they are trying to make do, since a lot of their parks aren't open and cruises and all that stuff. They're making do with streaming, and by the numbers, they're doing pretty well. Kind of like we are here at me and My Roku.
Oh baby, ooh, oh baby.
Okay, a couple other things to touch on, to bring up and stuff. We have a family that we get together with. They live in another state. They live in Minnesota, and it's been hard to get there because just as if you think it's crazy here, it's even crazier there, and that's just the life of that we're living right now. That's okay. So one of the things we've been doing to get together and all that stuff has been by playing cards online on our tablets, and then we FaceTime, and then we chit chat and all that stuff as we would normally do if we were playing cards on stuff. So this time of year, we would usually get together. We would usually meet about halfway and stay at a hotel or something like that and get together and exchange gifts and all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. But this year, obviously, not doing that. So we had a little virtual get-together and all that stuff. So as I had done my recorded segments that you just heard and all that stuff, obviously, it was still stressing on my mind and all that stuff, and I just wanted to get other people's opinions on it. And I just wanted to ask our friends, because I know that they haven't cut the cord yet. And I was just interesting. So the preface of this question is if somebody came to me, a cord cutter, for almost 11 years now, what would it take for me to get off the Roku? Obviously, now that you have HBO Max, they have pretty much like 99.3% of everything now. Well, what would it take? So we don't have Netflix right now. We haven't had Hulu in a little while now, and all that stuff. So, well, what would it take to get me off? I can't do this anymore. I need to go to someone else that has these things and all that stuff. So I couldn't think of anything and all that stuff. So I still have enough things to wrap my brain with and all that stuff. So I just wanted to ask them, what would it take for them to cut the cord? Especially when they told me that they pay over $200. And these are busy people, and they're hardworking people. They work all the time. It's hard, for us even just to get together just to play virtual cards, not together, twice a year or something like that to play real cards and all that stuff. So when I asked the question, all of a sudden immediately one of them raised their hands like, ooh, me, pick me. So I said, yes, you over there in the corner. And they go, yeah. Their answer was, I just need to know what to do, type of thing. Now, I'd like to think, well, all you would have to do is listen to a podcast called Me and My Roku, and you'd be all set and all that stuff. And like I said, be wary of all the different things out there, the clickbaity things out there to try and inform you and all that stuff. And that's like I said, the first chapter of this podcast was Take the Leap. So it's one of the things where you just got to get out there and explore and all that stuff. And I would do that before cutting the cord and all that stuff, and then trying the different things and the free trials and all that stuff that you can and get comfortable type of thing. So that was a good discussion on that. They already have Netflix right now, so the cost of cable plus Netflix right now. I'm just bringing that up in conversation and all that stuff because it's a good conversation, I think, to have and all that stuff for everybody, to cord cutters, cord stairs, cord slayers, and all that stuff. That just to have that conversation with yourself, what would it take? What would you want to do to motivate yourself and to try these things out and keep trying and keep going on stuff. Don't just get set yourself up. It's like, I can't leave cable and all that stuff, or I can't leave Netflix and all that stuff. So a lot of these things, we cut the cord, and then we need to cut the cord from cutting the cord and all that stuff. It was just an amazing, fun conversation to have, and I hope maybe even have that conversation with yourself type of things along those lines. So advice I have for new people to Roku or streaming or anything along those lines, I would start with a Roku myself. Start with a place where you're comfortable at. It doesn't have to be your main TV and all that stuff. So if you have, let's just say a rec room or something like that downstairs with a pretty decent TV and all that stuff, start with a basic Roku or basic device. Now, myself personally, I don't do the sticks. I know that they're convenient in a way so that you don't see them and all that stuff. You don't want to see these videos. But I tell you, the Roku Express, it's such a small, little, cute little thing. Oh, you just want to cuddle with it and all that stuff. But it's so, if you've got just a little place for it and all that stuff, you hardly notice it type of thing. So maybe start there, maybe Premiere, but don't go to like an Ultra or Stream Bar or Sound Bar right off the bat. Start with something small. And then try as much as you can, as much as your brain can and with the time that you have type of thing. I know everyone's busy and all that stuff, but some of us are caught in the pandemic and all that stuff, and we got time on our hands type of thing. Try as much as you can. Now, this will come back to reward you later and all that stuff. Start with free trials, start with everything, sign up for as much as you can. Start with something you know, like Netflix or something like that, and then explore other things. Now, this can pay dividends for you later down the road, because this is something that I talk about here quite frequently, is once you go, that's when the real fun can kind of begin. All right? Once again, they can't miss you if you don't go away. And now that could be the same thing for your cable company as well. It's like to say, if you want to get that $200 bill knocked down just a little bit, say, yeah, we're going to try something else. And they'll go, whoa, wait a minute. We have a deal for you. The same thing will go with your apps eventually. They're going to want you. Now, first of all, there are specials during the holidays as well. But then once you go away, figure 30, 60, the longer you stay away, the better chances are for getting deals. Now, one of the things I said here is one, I'm not a big Netflix person. I don't have a problem with Netflix. I want to repeat that and reiterate that all the time. Netflix is fine. It's overvalued as a company. But anyway, that's side issue there and all that stuff. Plenty on there to rot your brain and all that stuff, but you can get a lot of that stuff without paying as much. But anyway, when it's convenient for us, we get Netflix. So we stayed away for a long time. We were able to get a free month. They don't offer that service anymore, but they are reminding me every now and then, we're here for you, and all that stuff. Then I said, maybe I don't need Hulu. I can tend to get all these, instead of having one app, I can break things down to 3 apps that don't cost me anything or very little, all that stuff. But now here comes Hulu saying, oh, remember us? Hello. And I said, thank you very much. I like you very fine. And then all of a sudden they said, well, just remember, we're still here. Would you like to maybe try this? And I'm like, okay, thank you very much. And now they're coming back and saying, well, how about half price for 6 months? And now I'm like, stroking my goatee here. And they said, well, that wasn't good enough. How about 1 month free? So now I'm like, So that's what I'm saying is, they can't miss you if you don't go away. So try these different services and all that, and then see what they come back with and say, hey, remember us? Go ahead. Here's a free month, or here's half off, or something like that. Sling TV is also doing promotions right now. If you've gone away, is that they break their services down quite a bit. So like if you get one, there's Sling Blue for $30, and then there's Sling Orange for $30. But if you combine them, it kind of comes out to be the same. Well, now they're saying, you get one of these services, we'll give you the other one then. So kind of a buy one, get one free type of thing. So like a lot of these specials can happen if you just keep pumping them and pumping them and pumping them. Sometimes you need to go away and then things can come back. If you love something, set it free. If it comes back, set them on fire. Try them again type of thing. Some other news and all that stuff. Amazon. Yes. So remember a couple of weeks ago, I talked about Andrew Zarian and Paul Thurrott and how they thought the Amazon user interface was the best user interface in the cord streaming universe and all that stuff. I mean, they like what the Chromecast is doing and all that stuff, but they thought that the Roku was like, oh, well, can't do that. Oh my gosh, it's just, heaven forbid you turn it on and it works type of thing. But anyway, be that as it may, I understand that other people are different and everything, and this is a me show, and I have my preferences, and other people's have theirs, and I think I tried to explain that, and I wasn't being a troll or anything like that. Well, I must admit now that I was wrong. Obviously, the Amazon interface must have been the best, and the reason why is they're changing it. It's Amazon will be changing their user interface, starting with the Fire Sticks, and then other devices, and even including the Roku's Prime app at some point. So they're going to start with their products first, and then everyone else down the line goes on. Now, the reason why I say that, half jokingly, tongue-in-cheek type of thing, is these companies don't change things if you like them. Or if you don't like them, they'll stamp on their face. No, you must like our. Do you remember the iPhone 4? And there was connection issues, and when people would hold the phones and all that stuff, and Steve Jobs was still alive at the time. He says, no, you're holding it wrong. So obviously, they must have had the best interface because people liked it, and then Amazon couldn't stand for that, and they had to change it. So to Andrew and to Paul, I apologize. I was wrong. Some of these companies have to fix it until it's broke. And I think in this case, so enjoy your new Amazon interface when you get it. Here at the Roku, still there. Yes, it's just a collection of apps and all that stuff, but it'll take you right to where you need to go right away. No other stuff to conflict you or anything like that. Another thing that was going on in this household here, Apple updated absolutely everything this past week. phones, tablets, iPads, watches, TV, everything. And basically, the main thing was for this new service that they have called Fitness Plus. And I thought, well, we'll update everything and all that stuff. So I would check myself here to see if that was now then available on the Roku. And I went to Apple TV on my Roku app, and nothing. So just in case you were curious and you have an Apple products yourself and all that stuff and wanted to try it and thinking, oh, can I get that on my Roku? As of now, I did not see it on my Apple TV app. Okay, and that would seem to me that would be something, if they wanted to promote and all that stuff, it would have been the first thing on there, and they were promoting other things on the Roku Apple TV app. Apparently, it's for the Apple TV is the main way to get it, but if you don't have an Apple TV and you have a Roku, obviously, they said the next best thing was the iPad. It is available on your iPhone, but they said it's a little small and it's a little hard to do and all this stuff. So then the main thing you need is an Apple Watch. That's the whole point of it then too. So in case you were curious, if you were thinking about getting Apple Fitness Plus to get out of those pandemic doldrums and all that stuff, unfortunately it isn't on the Roku. We've gotten everything else on the Roku now. Just remember, our stockings were stuffed with HBO Max and everything else like that. There's still a couple things that still aren't there, but we'll survive and everything's going to be okay. Just like they are here on me and my Roku. Okay, kids, gather around. Not too close, please. We're still trying to get through this here, but let's come together just a little bit here so we can have a little chit-chat, a little discussion about things. All that. The bandwidth of the Me and My Roku podcast is brought to you by the Internet Archive at archive.org. They are a fantastic and unbelievable organization trying to do the best they can to archive the Internet. Kind of funny, huh? Just like me and my Roku. It's about me and all that stuff. Okay. In 2020, the Internet Archive grew from 40 million to 65 million public media items, including text, images, videos, and audio files. Right now, they're storing over 70 petabytes of data, equivalent to the contents of 186 million filing cabinets, and serve more than 1.5 million visitors a day. That's a lot. The Wayback Machine has grown rapidly too. Right now, they have 475 billion web pages archived, and we're now capturing another 750 million pages every single day. So a lot of that is due to a lot of support that we do here at Me and My Roku, and anything that you think that you can help out as well. Then, just a consideration. Just check it out, for crying out loud. Look at all the information that's available just in one place right there. Please check it out today at archive.org. Also, a lot of things that I do, I get gift cards for, so I can enjoy watching these programs for you and all that stuff without coming out of my pocket or anything like that and having to put ads on my website that you have to navigate through and all that stuff. None of that has to happen because I got things going on here in the background and all that stuff. And that's also something I'm willing to share with you and all that stuff. And one of them, the main one that I like to use, is swagbucks.radioaffliction.com. If you go to that link there or click the link in the show notes where you get this podcast, that gets you into the front door right there. All you have to do is just look at it and decide for yourself and sign up. By signing up there through that website, swagbucks.radioaffliction.com, you're in, and you help out the podcast here. You're also helping yourself out because you can learn all the different ways you can get gift cards for yourself, either for the holidays or for anytime. So you can watch the programs that I do and all that stuff. So you don't have to do what I do. I just point it out there and all that stuff. And case in point, that's one of them as well there. So check that out at swagbucks.radioaffliction.com. And please, of all the things that you have to do, just check out the Internet Archive at archive.org. Okay, some news and notes. I did a little research here during the break and just decided to kind of just see if there's anything in the news about, Roku being in trouble or anything like that, or if someone was just being clickbaity and all that stuff. So I just did a search for Roku in the news here, and this is just the things I found here. It's 2 top growth stocks to buy in December: Revolve Group and a little company called Roku. 2 companies that meet the growth stock definition well and have been strong performers in 2020. Okay, does that sound like they're in trouble here? Is Roku stock a buy? Roku continues to achieve one earning success after another, and its user base and advertising ecosystem continue to grow. Okay, all right, that sounds like they're doing okay there. Why Roku stock pop today? Let's see here. Roku tips and tricks. Master your streaming media player. Oh, no, we don't want that because then you don't want to listen to this podcast anymore. Roku stock could surge 22%. And they've already jumped 129% so far this year. Oh, yeah, well, so did Enron's at one point. I suppose that's a good point. Sell Netflix and buy Roku, according to this analyst. Roku stock rises on cheery reports for its streaming platform. This is all between 1 and 7 days ago, too, by the way. Roku's profit outlook. There's companies lost. They still have a loss, but it's broadening since it announced, okay. And then finally here, Roku stock on a tear. Why one analyst is still bullish. That's from Barron's. I think they know a thing or two. And then finally, why we sold. They sold their stock. Oh, no, now we're in trouble. Wait. We sold into strength. 2 days after they bought the stock, and they got a 10% gain in 1 day. So they got out. Like I said, folks, how does this affect me? It doesn't. It's good. I don't see that Roku's going anywhere anytime soon. So, in some other news and notes, we did it. We added Zumo. Oh yeah, the thought of not having Hallmark movies and more was just too much for us, since we had to break down, and we got that. We added another AVOD. Now, in fairness, I did try. Also, I saw that Redbox had updated their Roku app. Oh, that's right. Some people are still doing that. They're not just going away and all that stuff. They are adding things. I looked at it and saw that they had more on-demand things than they have in the past. And plus, if you have a Redbox account, then you can get movies and stuff through there as well. I looked at it and saw that it was no different than any of their AVOD. So if you're into Redbox, it's a fine app. It's fine, but it looks almost exactly like the Roku channel to me. But that's okay. Now with Zumo, it's fine. Like I've said all along, then they did have the Hallmark movies. We watched 3 movies on it, each with about 15 minutes left to go in the movie, and we got the whole crux of the movie right in those last 15 minutes, just as they were breaking up, and then seemingly happy endings in each of the 3 films and all that stuff. No gazebos, though, I'm afraid, and no Christmas movies. I was actually a little disappointed in that, but I guess they have that on all of their channels now. If you just wanted a regular Hallmark movie, well, check out Zumo and Hallmark movies and more. As the rest of Zumo goes, again, like the Redbox, it looks just like the other AVODs out there, but they have what they don't have, and that's Hallmark movies and more. Well, I'm getting a little itchy, a little twitchy. I should get back to my Hallmark movies and more. But I want to thank you for checking in on me and this podcast and all that stuff. If you need more information on all that stuff, you may check out the website, meandmyroku.com. Once again, if you want to learn more about the gift cards I get and all that stuff, check out swagbucks.radioaffliction.com. And once again, a very special thanks to archive.org for providing the bandwidth of this podcast and all the podcasts I've done since 2005. Archive.org, I thank them, and I love them. Check them out for yourself today. Also, what helps the podcast is if you could subscribe. That would be lovely. Hopefully you still are already, but we've added another one to the list here. That's right, there's a list. You can subscribe to the Me and My Roku podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Ghana, JioSaavn, Welcome Himalaya, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartMedia, Podbean, Pandora, and Radio.com. Follow me on Twitter at Radio Affliction and on Instagram at Pierre Argyle. And if you have burning questions, comments, or one-on-one type of situation that you need, you may email me at meandmyrokupodcast@gmail.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying you and your Roku as much as I'm enjoying me and my Roku. And I'll be back with you real soon.